Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Noob Cup 2 featuring Age of Empires 3. We have, in this second series, another battle for a quarterfinal position in the tournament. In our last series, we had Testificator versus Casper battling out for the first open position. And here we have Greenstone 45 versus Fatefiend playing for the second position in the quarterfinal. Greenstone 45, who, I gotta say, Greenstone, why are you not playing in green? I don't understand. Greenstone in the teal, playing as, once again, the Ottomans. I expect that over the course of the Noob Cup, the Ottomans will be a very popular civilization. For two reasons. One, as I previously mentioned, the Ottomans have this special feature where they produce villagers automatically. And that's great, especially for a noob player. If you have concerns about, can I keep my eco going and attack at the same time? Can I keep my economy going and also work on these things over here, Well, it's so much simpler when you don't need to worry about going back to your town center and queuing up more vills. Not to mention the food you save. But just not even having to queue them up. They're automatically going. Right? So that's a really nice bonus. And then, if you have studied up on your Ottoman strategies, if you've done some reading on how the Ottomans tend to work, they have some very interesting rush options available to them. And a lot of times for the Ottomans, they can end a game quickly, right? So I really think we're going to see a lot of Ottoman play, and my suggestion to the Noob Cup contestants, if you're playing the Ottomans, great, learn how to play them, but also learn how to push back against them. Learn how to deal with an Ottoman strategy, because I think they're going to be very popular. Now, across this body of water, on the other side of the map, we have Fatefiend in the red playing as the French. And the French are, I suspect, another very popular choice. I suspect they will be another popular choice for the Cup. And the reason why is the French are a great jack-of-all-trades civilization. They get access to the Coureur du Bois, which is just a better villager. They collect resources faster, they have more health. I think we can actually do some comparison here. Yeah, so they have 30 more HP. We see here's a miner. These guys are collecting 0.6 coin per second, while as these guys are collecting 0.74 coin per second. They have 180 HP instead of 150. They do everything faster and better. They're just an all-around better villager. I do think they cost a little bit more, but they more than pay for it. They are worth it. So, I think that we are going to see the French a lot. They are a very solid noob player civ, Noob Cup civ. I think we'll see them plenty. Excuse me. Now, looking at the map, I think the one thing that we're going to see that will be very different from the last time we saw the Ottomans in the Cup is the particular map. Now, I don't know that I can see the name of the map on here. I didn't catch the name of this map, but what we have is kind of a hybrid map and almost a blend of the previous two maps back in the first series, where there's obviously a lot more land here, and this could very easily become a land war, but you cannot ignore this river, both in terms of the economic potential. We've got an awful lot of fish, and not to mention some... No, we don't have any whale or anything like that. So, it's just fish, just food, but an awful lot of it. And if you invest heavily into the river, you can gather a lot of resources very quickly. Food will be king here. So that's a really cool option, but it also means that you're not going to be able to... the Ottoman player here will not be able to rush the French player, or vice versa. Not without dealing with this river first. Right? And let's go and take a look at Fatefiend for a second. Now, Fatefiend, I know from talking with him, Fatefiend's a good friend of mine. He was actually a contestant in the first Noob Cup. He is a really great Smash Brothers player, and he's played some other things, and he's also one of my greatest supporters on the channel. I mean, he's one of the earliest subscribers and just likes videos and comments all the time, and so I just really enjoy having him as a part of the community. One of the things that we talked about is how he is fairly new to, you know, strategy games, and Age of Empires 3 in particular. I think he's got a handful of games under his belt. So I can see already, like, one of the things that you'll notice here is he accidentally called out his militiamen early. Militiamen are a great unit that is available in the town center for most civilizations. And what they do, you can hit that militiaman button, they pop out, and they're a good emergency army that you can use to repel a rush. And they're great, but the problem is after you call them, they start losing HP until eventually they trickle down to just 1 hit point, all by themselves. So if you accidentally call them out early, well, the good news is they still have all the attack damage, but they'll be pretty easily knocked out to just about anything, right? Let's see. Greenstone is in the second age. He has 13 vills. Fatefiend has 10 vills in the feudal age. Pick up Pioneers. I think that's a great choice. Villager hit points greatly increased. That is a very good card to send against an Ottoman player. I think this is a really solid choice because if you're getting attacked, you're going to need to fight back with your vills, right? There's very likely that situation, and so having a lot more HP. Look at that! Wow, they went up from 180 to 297 HP. That makes them much more resilient. If you pick up, there are a couple of technologies in the market that make your villagers stronger, more health points, give them greater attack. That's a great combination for dealing with rushes. I think another thing that you could look at as far as dealing with rushes go, many decks have a card that improves your town centers. It improves the attack of the town center. It lets you send more militiamen. So those are also options that you can look at as far as fighting back against rushes. Now, looking at the map, we see that we have no trade posts. So we don't really have opportunities to accrue additional experience points through trade posts. On a map like this, I think you should get up your church as quickly as possible. Now, Greenstone has done that with his mosque, or her mosque. Greenstone has done that with the mosque because, not because of the XP, but because the mosque holds very important technologies for allowing your town center to continue producing villagers and producing them faster. So almost every Ottoman player will get up a mosque as quickly as possible. But that's really nice on this map because you have that experience trickle. And that's going to help with sending more cards, sending them faster. Great choice. That is not as pressing for the French. And so Fatefiend, I don't know that he's got a church up. I don't think he does. That would be an option that I would look at, just to be able to get cards out faster. Yeah, here we see. This is encouraging. If you're a Greenstone fan, this is a good sign. Greenstone is the first one onto the river. I like how René de Champlain is bathing his feet here. But Greenstone is the first one on the river. And that means he will likely be the first one to get fishing ships out and or a navy. If he can secure the river, that means that Fatefiend will have a hard time attacking Greenstone, and Greenstone can move these units. You can kind of tell. Like, Greenstone had in mind, get Janissaries up, get them on a boat. Well, I said get Janissaries up and attack. You know, it's probably a rush strategy was in the back of Greenstone's mind, and now it's like, wait a minute, I can't do it. I need to get across this river. We do see that there are some native camps on the field, so let's talk about them real quick. These are the Quechua. Quechua infantry armed with a plumed spear, good against cavalry. Quechua bola warriors, ranged infantry that hurl bolas for a wide area of effect. So I think we have like a spearman, and I'm going to guess that this is an anti-infantry, maybe like a light infantry unit. So kind of a skirmisher style unit. That's really good. Villagers gather coin from mine faster. That's nice. Helps soldiers train faster. Nice. And infantry move faster. Pretty nice general technologies. Nothing that I think is necessarily game-changing. Oh, here we go with the Zapotec. Let's see. 100 wood every 2 minutes of game length. Increases hand infantry damage. And they gather food faster. Okay. What is this? So 2 Zapotec and a Kecha. Let me see. Zapotec, Kecha, Zapotec. Yeah. And their unit is the Lightning Warrior, armed with a shield and a sword to counter infantry and cavalry. Wow. Well, I mean, if you counter infantry and cavalry, what are your weaknesses? Huh. Interesting. I'd love to see them in action. So what I was seeing from the camps is technologies that might be useful in a general sense. Nothing that I think is kind of game-changing or you need to have in order to win. Here we go. This is great. One of your priorities, if you expect a rush, one of the very first things that you should do is build a barracks. And I really like the positioning of the barracks here. Behind the town center, very close to the town center. So Greenstone will not be able, if he goes on the offense, Greenstone will not be able to take on the TC without the barracks. You know, I'm sorry, will not be able to take out the barracks without being in the town center's range of fire, and that's critical. You don't want the barracks all the way out here where it can get knocked down, and then you're left barracks-less as your TC is besieged. Right? Ooh. Here we go. We have 2 galleons. And notice how the galleons, you know, they're not only... They're naval units with cannons, which is great. But they can also not only transport, but they can train units. So these are essentially mobile barracks that Greenstone is pulling up to the front here. Now, one of the things that I see both players doing, although a little bit more on Fatefiend, but both players are making a mistake that I make all the time, or I made all the time when I was learning Age of Empires, and that is sort of forgetting your deck. You know, you kind of get drilled into what you're doing with your economy, or you're going on the attack, and you're forgetting to actually keep the push going. Okay, wow, look at this. Here we go. Here's a fight. Janissaries versus Musketeer here. Both are heavy infantry, so this is basically going to be a numbers fight. We do see the Janissaries have more HP. And a little bit less ranged attack, actually. So, Fatefiend getting an outpost up, which is great. Again, another defensive choice that I really appreciate. What I would love to see... Let me pull up. How many vills do we have here? I think you could probably put in a little bit of extra damage while your musketeers are fighting by getting your villagers into the fight and then maybe pulling them back as they get weak. Maybe I'm asking a little much there. Here come the militiamen. Putting in good damage, and as long as Greenstone doesn't notice, and he doesn't notice, so the militiamen are putting in work. Okay, all right, and he's actually retreating. So wave 1 has been successfully repelled. An outpost is going back up. I really like this play so far. Now, what I am a little bit concerned about. So I've already mentioned 2 things. One are the decks. Both players, well, here we go. Falconets coming in for the Ottoman player. Here are the Falconets on their way. That's a concern. Those cannons will not be good news for Fatefiend. So, the Ottoman player, Greenstone, has remembered the deck. Fatefiend still has not. And so I think he's missing a couple of key things. The crossbowman card. You know, getting out crossbowman to help push back the Janissary push, that would be very useful. You see he's building crossbowmen, which is a great choice, and especially against Janissaries. Crossbowmen are light infantry. They take out heavy infantry. So crossbowmen, very good choice. You could send that card. Another thing, and this ties into this card right here, is the economy. Now, part of this is just the beauty of the Ottomans, right? But the Ottoman town center is continuing to produce villagers, continuing to get that eco going. Greenstone, without ever having to pay for a single vill, is up to 30 vills here. Fatefiend has to remember to keep going back to his TC, keep producing more vills. He is stuck at 30, he's stuck at 11 Coureur de Bois right now. So, just from an economic point of view, it's not looking good for Fatefiend. And I suspect, let me see, what do we have? We got... Now, what happened to those falconets? Where did they go? I know they're around here somewhere.
J'ai repris des forces.
Yeah. The other thing, too, you could consider, another possibility is to do a fast fortress strategy where you try to get into the third age as quickly as possible. And Fatefiend does have some good cards to do that. I mean, right now, he's got 400 food and 500 gold, right? Well, you need 1,200 food and 1,000 gold in order to go up to the third age. If he were to send these two cards, 700 food, 700 coin, you could pick that up very quickly and get up to the next age very fast. And then you could build cannons of your own. You could build skirmishers. Your military would be strong enough to push back the Ottoman offensive. But instead, we're in a situation here where, you know, right now, Greenstone has rushed up into the fourth age. So, not wanting to, throw an early lead, but is really investing heavily into the economy, investing into, being as strong as possible before making that push. I know we just saw those falconets. Let's go back to Greenstone and kind of see what's coming down the pike here. Look at this. Look at this. Producing more Janissaries. Now, there's one thing I'll complain about for Greenstone here. He's producing, Greenstone is producing Janissaries, all of the Janissaries out of one galleon. So the other galleon is just sitting here doing nothing. And, Greenstone could move a little bit faster if both galleons were set up to produce Janissaries at the same time. Right? Yeah, but here we go. Greenstone in the fourth age. We've got some very interesting cards here. Let's take a look at these. The Abyss Gunners and Humbarakis, which we've not seen them yet in this fight. The Advanced Arsenal, very nice. Having the Arsenal of Commerce Age is nice, but I think the point of this card is to get the more powerful Arsenal improvements. Those were really nice. Just the extra movement speed, and I believe there's some rate of fire things in there. Just the Arsenal is really nice. It's not as essential as the Blacksmith in Age of Empires 2, but if one player remembers to build a Blacksmith and get the Blacksmith text and the other one doesn't, that can be very game-defining. Here we go. These are veteran Janissaries, so they've teched up within the third age. I believe there's still a tech that can be made in the fourth age. The vet Janissaries are out. We've got 3 falconets. Fatefiend in the second age with a couple of the house wall here, and I really like the house wall. It's even more effective in AoE 2, but that will slow down this push a little bit. Yeah, here we go. Now the militiamen, 1 HP each. They're not long for this world, unfortunately. Let's keep going. So, more Janissaries. I really love, of course, the Robber Barons and the Factory cards, right? So you want to get both of those down. The Great Bombards. Oh, that'd be great. I'd love to see Great Bombards. And then the Kuleli School improves the hit points and attacks of all Ottoman infantry. Greenstone seems to be favoring a Janissary heavy strat, so I really like that card. And I think most players, when you play Ottomans, as cool as the Azops are, and just a lot of the delis and a lot of these units, I think a lot of times you're going to see a focus on Janissary, maybe the possibly the Avis Gunner, but really the Janissary I think is the star of the show. So, if you are looking to figure out how to counter the Ottomans, probably the number one thing you want to do is figure out what are the strengths and weaknesses of the Janissary. All right, so the Janissary are a heavy infantry, so anything that's a light infantry unit counters Janissary well. Artillery counters Janissary well. But you don't want to use cavalry against Janissary. And I don't know if Janissaries are among the best heavy infantry. I'd say especially if you've got a deck like this, where you're able to invest so heavily into Janissaries, they can be very, very strong. But guys, not to spoil the game or anything, but at this point, I don't see Fatefiend having much of a response to this. 4 Falconets on the field, 20 veteran Janissaries against nothing coming out. Fatefiend has sort of run out of food. Here we go. There's crossbowmen on the coming, which is the right choice for countering Janissaries. The problem at this point is the Falconets are covering for that weakness. The crossbowmen come out, and even assuming it was 20 crossbowmen, so they would win that fight probably against the Janissaries. But the Falconets will just, march all over. So there we go. That is game 1 down. Fatefiend calls the GG, and Greenstone takes a well-earned first win in the second series for the Noob Cup 2. And here we are, game number 2 in our second series in the AoE 3 Noob Cup 2. And we find ourselves playing a game mode that will be very familiar to Age of Empires 2 players. This is a Regicide map. Both players start with a little bit of a fort and a castle, and they have the Regent. The Regent Daimyo, if he dies, you lose. So, this is a very different kind of game mode. We, of course, set the maps to all maps available, and so the players have no idea what's coming until the game starts, and this is what we've rolled. So we have a Regicide map, and looking at the map itself, I find this map fascinating, and I would love to see more games on this map because there are several ways you can play this. Looking around the exterior of the map, we have a lot of water with a lot of resources. We have fish, we have whales, so that means food and coin, unlimited coin that's available out in the water. You got a lot of treasures up here at the top, and to the south we have the map's only trading post site. So theoretically, you could expand to the outer regions of the map and gather a lot of additional resources. Food, coin, experience, treasure. You can find a lot of things along the edges of the map. But that's assuming that you stay safe at home. And another way you could play is to build up a big force and then just march across the center island, blow up your opponent's base, kill the daimyo, and win the game. Right? So there are two different ways I can see this being played. A very aggressive all-in approach, or a more expansive roundabout approach, right? We have, of course, our two players. We have Fatefiend in the red, playing as the Swedes. Sweden is a really fun civ. You have access to the Karelian, which is a really nice musketeer unit with a cool charge attack. You also get access to the artillery foundry and leather cannons in the Second Age. That is a really great choice. Plus, don't forget, and this is a bonus I think will be very useful, especially for newer players, the Torp. The Torp is the unique version of the house for the Swedes. It slowly gathers from resources around the Torp. So it spawns with a berry bush, and it's slowly trickling away the berry bush, but building it next to the coin mine is also gathering coin from the silver mine. So really great positioning there by Fatefiend. And Greenstone. In the teal, again, Greenstone. What's up with the name Greenstone? If you're going to play teal, why is it not Tealstone? Huh? I'm playing, of course. Greenstone in the teal, playing as the French. And we already talked about the French in the last match. The French are an amazing jack-of-all-trades civ. The Croix de Bois, just a really good all-around unit. So I really like the choice of the French here, and I do think that we'll see the French played again multiple times throughout this tourney. They're just a good jack of all trades. You can build, especially if you're the kind of player to take the time to customize out your deck for different maps against different opponents. You know, one game you might say, hey, I really need to go heavy into light infantry or just do like an anti-infantry approach. Well, the French can do that for you. If you want to go heavy into cavalry, the French have some amazing cavalry options. You know, if you're just anything you want to do with the French, they've got the tools to do it. So they're a really solid all-around choice. They even have the options, you can build them so that they're very good and work very well with native camps. So if you find yourself on a camp, you say, oh wow, the Jesuits or the Zen here. I want to take advantage of the Zen temple. I want to take advantage of the Jesuit camp. And I want to get the most that I can out of the Conquistadors or the, who are these guys over here? The Sohei Naginata, right? I want to take as much advantage as I can out of them. You can build a deck around native allies. So that's something that I think is a really strong option for the French. We've seen the Ottomans, we saw the Ottomans win the last match, and we saw them played very effectively in the previous series. The thing about the Ottomans is they can be predictable, right? Scouting is important. The Ottomans don't have to be played this way, but a lot of players are going to play the Ottomans as an Age 2 Janissary rush. And if you're using your scout, exploring, you know, kind of near the enemy's base where you think 4 barracks might be, and you see them drop a barracks, okay, you know what's coming, right? So, just being able to have that flexibility, I think, is a strength for the French. That that something like the Ottomans, who we have seen played very strongly, maybe don't have as much flexibility in. Fatefiend has actually reached the Commerce Age. I want to say he reached it first, but he might have reached it right behind Greenstone. But both players in the Commerce Age. And so far, both players are, I want to say, yeah, Greenstone has a little bit of an eco lead, but not by much. Not by much. Fatefiend is doing a better job this round of staying on his town center and producing more vills. One of the things that you've got to give Fatefiend, I've seen this from multiple games from him, is he learns from his mistakes. Right? So here in game 2, staying on the town center, producing more vills. So that's really good. And he's where are his vills? His food vills. There they were. And he's clicked the barracks or clicked the bell. No, he hasn't. What is he doing? What are you doing? All right, what do we got? We got 4 vills back onto wood. You guys going? I think he must have misclicked on accident. Yeah, that happens. So that's okay. I think Fatefiend is doing well over there. Greenstone doing well over here too. Now wait a minute. This is how did you get a? How do you get a shrine? Is that something that? Oh. What? How did you get a shrine? Was that a card that was sent? No. French don't get access to shrines. And you... Alright. You know what? Somebody help me out here in the comments. How do you get a shrine as the French? That doesn't appear to be part of the map. I don't see that Fatefiend has a shrine. Huh. Interesting. Well, this shrine, however Greenstone got the shrine, This shrine works as a house. It supports 10 population, just like a house. But also, it will slowly trickle in resources as... well, it slowly trickles in resources. And it will trickle in more resources when you have animals nearby grazing near the shrine, which he has 4 goats grazing at the shrine. Alright. So, that looks good. Now, at this point, once again, I'm going to highlight what I see as maybe the main concern. We're now 8 minutes into the game. Fatefiend has 17 vills, which is better than he was doing last game. So I think he's doing a good job staying on those vills, but that is 17 vills up against France's 26 vills. Okay? The reason for that, part of it is that there is some idle TC time, right? So that's something to keep an eye on. But the big thing, and this is going to be, definitely, I sympathize. This is a unique feature of AoE3. Like I said before, I made this mistake a lot. Forgetting your deck, right? Fatefiend is sitting on 3 shipments that he's not using, and that means, let's say he just picks the beginner deck, okay? He could immediately send 3 more villagers and equal out his economy, right? He could send leather cannons to help him defend or attack. You could send torp wagons. That would actually be an amazing choice because each torp wagon will work like a villager, gathering more resources, right? So both of those cards would be amazing for your economy. Frontier defenses, outpost wagons, which would help with defending the base. You have a lot of choices. Eco, and that's even without like customizing your deck. I mean, just using one of the default decks, that could give you a lot. So all of the experience, this is a bunch of resources that aren't being used, right? Coming over to Greenstone, Greenstone is using the cards, and that's huge. Okay, so that means, let's pretend for a second he wasn't. Or again, she wasn't, I don't know. Greenstone, I don't know. Courrier de Bois. 3 Courrier de Bois, 4 Courrier de Bois. Courrier de Bois gathering faster, and 700 wood. Those are the cards that have been sent so far. So, if we were to subtract all of that out, we go from 26 back down to 19 vills. They would be basically neck and neck, 19 versus 18. The Courrier de Bois would not be gathering as quickly as they are now. That extra wood means he's probably not able to build as many buildings as otherwise able to. Okay. So, I think Greenstone has a significant advantage here. Almost, I don't know if I want to say almost exclusively, but the vast majority of the advantage that Greenstone has right now is remembering to use your deck. So, that's definitely something that you want to keep in mind as you play your games. Make sure that you're on that deck. Let's really quickly take a look at the native camps and see if there's anything useful here. So the Naginata Samurai, the Sohei Naginata. It's a Japanese warrior monk armed with a Naginata, which is a spear. So that's good against cavalry and buildings. Spearmen in this game, like in Age of Empires 2, and almost every strategy game ever, spearmen are very good against cavalry units. But AoE 3 is unique in that the spearmen units in this game are also very effective anti-building units. They have a lot of siege damage. And so if you get up a good cluster of spearmen, they can destroy structures very quickly. So they're great at that. The problem is that they're not so great against infantry. And the way most people play the early game is it's all about infantry. So unless you also have a lot of crossbowmen to back up the fight. Oh, and this reminds me, as I see this, you know what? One other thing I needed to give Fatefiend kudos for is, I believe, if I remember right, Fatefiend is the first one to get a dock out. So that looks really great. And I believe Fatefiend also got a caravel up before Greenstone got up a navy. So, what I would love to see from either player, if you're not going to just rush across the field and try to take out your opponent quickly, I want to see more out of your docks. I think there's a lot of opportunity here to gather a lot of resources that your opponent... If you are on your docks consistently, producing more and more and more fishing ships, and your opponent isn't, that will snowball into a huge economic lead. You can consider these docks basically mini town centers, because that lets them produce more, quote-unquote villagers, that is fishing ships, to gather wood or to gather coin, quickly. And if you've got down a town center and 2 docks, and your opponent just has a town center, well, that's going to be a massive eco lead, right? That's not always the right play, but it could be the right play here, especially if neither player is going on the offense early. Okay, so the Naginata Samurai. I'm sorry, I keep saying that. The Sohei Naginata. Interesting choice. Meritocracy. Decreases unit upgrade costs. Not a bad choice. 300 food and 300 gold. That will pay for itself in a late game. That will pay for itself if you have a mixed economy. I would say if you're going for a strategy, let's say you're playing the Ottomans again, right? And you're going for just a Janissary rush. You want to get up into the second age, you start pushing with Janissaries. And then you get into the third age and you want to pick up that Janissary upgrade. And that's the only upgrade you're picking up. I think you're spending more than you otherwise would. As we see Fatefiend's Explorer go down to a host of crossbowmen. So the bad news is the Explorer goes down. The good news is, for Fatefiend, he knows the composition of Greenstone's army. So he should be thinking about what can I build that will counter crossbowmen. And as the Swedes, you have an amazing option in leather cannons. That's what I want to see from the Swedes. I want to see artillery on the field. Leather cannons would absolutely wreck a force of musketeer and crossbowmen. So, meritocracy could be good. But you're planning on either a longer game or just a mixed composition game in order to take advantage of that. Meditation gives you 1,000 experience points towards your next shipment. That's really good. If you have the resources and, like right here, let's see. So, right now, Greenstone needs 400 something experience for shipment 2. That tells me that picking that tech up would give Greenstone like a shipment and a half right there. Bam. Speaking of, all right, let's see. Let's see what's... Skirmishers can be trained in the Commerce Age. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's beautiful flexibility. Being able to pull out Skirmishers in the Feudal Age, that's great. Resources, yeah, you could be sending resources. Wilderness Warfare. Career Skirmisher Native Warrior hit points increased. Yeah, there's some really good options here. As for Fatefiend, yeah, again, still not, just has completely forgotten the deck, and that will be very damaging here. I applaud and I love the aggression that Fatefiend went there. If Fatefiend had done that earlier, or, again, if Greenstone did not have a navy yet, if Greenstone just has fishing boats, gets greedy, goes all in eco, that one caravel would absolutely destroy Greenstone's economy. That was a great move. I applaud it, and even though the caravel was lost there, I think that was worth playing. That was an attempt worth making. Very, very well done. But now we have a situation where we've got 3 galleons on the field. The galleons, again, slow, powerful ships resistant to building fire that can train units. So I think... Ooh, here we go. Look at this. So speaking of what I mentioned earlier, Fatefiend decided to go on the offense, and I love that choice, even though he's now backing up. I like the idea. Going on the offense, trying to make some damage happen. Just testing your opponent. That's great. And pikemen do a great job. Look at how much siege damage you have. 32 siege damage for each pikeman. So they will melt buildings very quickly. He could break through this wall pretty fast if he wanted to. The problem is pikemen, unless it's cavalry, pikemen aren't very good at fighting. And yeah, these crossbowmen would have just wiped the floor with the pikemen and with the 2 crossbowmen that Fatefiend has. He needs more. Now the good news is Fatefiend has a leather cannon on the field. How did Fatefiend get this leather cannon? If it must be the castle. The shrine must have come from the regent's castle. That has to be what it is. And then somehow, because Fatefiend's not shipping anything with cards, and I don't see an artillery foundry on the field, it must be the castle that's producing leather cannons. Either way, however it happened, the Swedes have a leather cannon, and that leather cannon, if it's defended, will do a great job against the infantry. Actually, 2 leather cannons. Here we go. Now, what I don't like, this cannon is not defended by anything. So we see it kind of slowly getting melted away. Okay, this is good. Get the pikemen up front. The pikemen can just serve as a meat shield. Alright. Good shot there. And, you know, he could keep fighting. He's pulling back, but no, I think he should keep fighting that. If Greenstone wants to take that fight, take it and you win. The cannon absolutely puts in the work there. I'm still going to consider that, I think all in all, a win for Fatefiend. He did lose one of the cannons, which I have no idea how he's getting the cannons, so without an artillery range, he can't produce more unless there's something special about the Regent's Castle, but cannon was great. Uh-oh. Round 2. We've got Greenstone moving in with 3 galleons. The Swedish fishing economy is not long for this world. And fortunately for Fatefiend, Greenstone is pushing in on the side of the fort that's covered by the castle and the outpost. So we're going to be able to watch here as these units take some serious damage. They otherwise wouldn't. One of the things that I think is important to keep in mind, if you're coming from an Age of Empires 2 background, I love the cannon right here. Good use of the cannon. Get the cannon to be firing in on these guys. Militia out, great choice. Get the militia going. Do what you can. Look at how they're falling apart. This is a successful defense. Good. Good. Now the problem that Fatefiend is about to have. Greenstone has another wave coming in, and this time he's got 2 falconets. And the falconets will beat the leather cannons. Okay. So these are better cannons, and he's got veteran dragoons. Now the dragoons are taking fire from the Regent's Castle, but like I was saying, one of the differences between AoE 2 and AoE 3, static defenses like castles and outposts do not appear to be as strong. Oh, and here we go. Regent versus Regent. I don't know if Fatefiend realizes he's throwing in the towel, but he's pulling back his king. 7 HP. Oh, and he goes down. Greenstone wins game 2, and that means that we have our second quarterfinal contestant. Well done, Greenstone. Fatefiend, thank you so much for joining the tournament. Really impressed by how you improved just over the 2 games. I think if we look at, I see right now the eco numbers, he's down to 15 vills, but he lost quite a few. You know, just the eco production got better and better from the 2 games. That was really great, and I saw some really solid defense in this second match, as well as some early aggression with the pikemen, early aggression with the, with the caravel. I thought that was fantastic. Just unfortunately, it was a little slow, and Greenstone already had responses up. But I really like what you have there. Great choice with the leather cannon. So that part was great. But Greenstone taking the win and becoming our second qualified quarterfinalist. Well done to you. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this series, if you're ready to watch our third qualifier set and then tune in for the quarterfinals, which I'm hoping will be next week, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment. How did you enjoy these games? Who are you hoping to see played next? What kind of maps are you looking forward to? For now, this is the Iron Kaiser, signing off.